Okay, so every business leader knows that cybersecurity is a huge priority. But what if the biggest threats aren't those dramatic, headline grabbing attacks we see on the news? What if they're the quiet, everyday oversights? Well, today, we're going to expose the common blind spots that hackers see, even when you don't.
And this is the crucial point right here. The most significant risks are often the quietest ones. I mean, think of them as the digital version of leaving a window unlocked. A missed software update, a forgotten user account, an untested backup. They might seem like small things, but to a hacker, each one is a wide open welcome mat.
So yeah, let's answer that question. We're going to put on a hacker's hat for a few minutes and look at a business from the outside in. We're going to expose the vulnerabilities that are often completely invisible to the people working there day in and day out.
All right, first up, our first category of blind spots is found in the very tools you rely on every single day. Your technology is supposed to be your first line of defense, but if it's not managed perfectly, it can quickly become your greatest weakness. This really gets you into a hacker's mindset. See, they actively monitor patch cycles. The moment a company like Microsoft releases a security update, it's a race. It's you trying to apply that patch versus an attacker trying to reverse engineer it to create an exploit. Every single update you miss is a known, documented way in. That's why automating patch management isn't a convenience. It's how you win that race. Think of it this way. You wouldn't use a 10-year-old map to navigate a new city, right? The threat landscape changes just as fast, if not faster. The antivirus that was state-of-the-art 2 years ago, it might be completely useless against today's malware. A periodic review of your security stack makes sure your defenses are evolving just as quickly as the attacks are. Your firewall is the main gate to your castle, and its rules are the guards. But what happens when you tell a guard, hey, just let this one person in for a bit? Well, those temporary rules, they often get forgotten. Over time, your firewall becomes this messy tangle of outdated permissions. That's why regular audits aren't just good housekeeping, they're how you prevent old favors from turning into brand new backdoors. But look, even the best technology is only half the battle, because the biggest variable, and often the biggest risk, isn't in your servers, it's your people. The human element can unintentionally create some of the most dangerous blind spots of all. Shadow IT. It sounds mysterious, but it's actually pretty simple. It's any tool your employees use without the company's approval. That file sharing app they like better, or the personal USB drive they plug into their work computer, each one is a potential path for malware that your security team can't see or manage. A clear usage policy, backed by network scanning, is how you bring these hidden risks out of the shadows. This is such a classic mistake. To make things easy, companies often grant employees way more access than they actually need for their job. So when a hacker compromises one of those accounts, they suddenly have the keys to the kingdom. The fix here is a real 1-2 punch. First, the principle of least privilege, giving people access only to what they need. And second, multi-factor authentication, which adds that absolutely crucial second layer of defense. When an employee leaves, their digital access should leave with them, period. But too often, it doesn't. These orphaned accounts are a goldmine for attackers. They're valid credentials that nobody is monitoring anymore. Someone could use a former employee's login for months without anyone even noticing. Automating this deprovisioning process during offboarding is how you close that door for good. So we've got the right tech, and we're thinking about our people. But what about our habits? Our final category focuses on gaps in process, the daily routines and procedures that can either forge a strong shield or leave the gates wide open. This is one of the most painful lessons a business can possibly learn. Just having a backup creates a false sense of security. You know why? Because the only thing worse than having no backup at all is having a backup that fails when you actually need it. Can you really restore your data from it? The only way to know for sure is to test it regularly. That full restore exercise isn't a hassle. It's the only thing that turns a backup plan into a real safety net. And that says it all, doesn't it? You want to discover a problem during a controlled test, not in the middle of a full-blown crisis. The question isn't, is the backup running? The question is, does the backup actually work? If your security alerts are scattered across dozens of different systems, you're essentially flying blind, and attackers absolutely rely on that lack of visibility. They move quietly through all that noise, completely undetected. Centralized monitoring is the answer. It brings all that data into one place, letting you spot suspicious patterns and stop minor incidents before they become major breaches.
Compliance frameworks, things like GDPR for data privacy or HIPAA for healthcare, they can feel like bureaucratic headaches. But really, they're security roadmaps. They lay out proven best practices for protecting sensitive data. So ignoring them doesn't just risk a fine, it means you're ignoring a blueprint for strong security, leaving predictable weaknesses in your defense.
So we've identified the blind spots across technology, people, and process. And yeah, that might sound a little overwhelming, but fixing them is actually simpler than you think. It just requires a structured approach.
The process is really a simple, continuous loop. First, you pinpoint your vulnerabilities, maybe with a health check. Second, you close those specific gaps with precise fixes. And third, you continuously monitor everything to strengthen your overall posture. This isn't a one-time project. It's a cycle of constant improvement.
And that's the real challenge, isn't it? They're called blind spots because, by definition, they're almost impossible to see from the inside. The only way to find them is to get an objective, outside view of your defenses. You have to be willing to see your business through the eyes of an attacker before you can truly secure it.